First story. Eventually found out my marriage is doomed because my wife affair. Today's story about one day out of the blue OP wife want divorce, later on his found out her affair caused this. Let's see what happens. End of March, my 37M wife, 39F, told me that she doesn't know if she loves me anymore. First I assumed it was just a period of lower intimacy between us like we have had before in our 12-year relationship. In the following days I noticed that the situation was worse than I expected. Slowly she stopped talking, any form of physical contact, and slowly pushed me away. I know now that in those time before I was emotionally neglecting her, because I suffer from a depression and suicide ideas. I told her I will step up my game, be there for her and fight for us, but she kept pushing back harder. I asked her why she was doing this and she couldn't give me a clear answer. I asked her if there was someone else and she told me there was not. Note that my wife started working at a new workplace 6 months prior and has naming a younger direct co-worker a bit too much for comfort. I felt the clouds becoming darker and darker above my head. I assumed I was dealing with a workaholic wife, so I did my best to give her space yet still be there and work on myself. I found Stoicism and started to apply it as a self-help, and for the first time I started to feel better, despite our relationship not improving. I started noticing strange things. YouTube videos about twin flames, she keeping her phone on her all time and changing pin, taking an hour walk each day. So I decided to watch her and found out her pin. Then in an unguarded moment, I checked her phone and then I found out my wife has been, I assume for now, emotionally cheating with her coworker. Obviously I was upset and feel betrayed. Her saying that she wanted to wait to tell me until I got myself in a better mental condition or pushing me away on purpose in hope that I would ask for divorce only fueled this anger. But in the days afterwards, I also saw my life partner completely break down after this. Now I don't care about other people's opinions, but this is still the person I shared 12 good years with, suffered through bad times with, builded a house and family with. I ended up telling her that I feel very sorry for her and I forgive her. If she was willing to fight to rebuild love and trust, I would stand beside her. But I would only forgive once and she shouldn't take this as a sign of weakness. Unfortunately, not much has changed after that. My wife continues going to work, where she is undoubtedly exposed to this coworker. She does leave her phone. I am afraid that she thinks the situation she is in is a situation where she needs to choose between this coworker and me family. I accept the fact that I cannot control her and have to accept her choice, but I feel myself more and more hoping she will choose us. Update. Am I overreacting? A few weeks ago my 36M wife, 38F, dropped the bomb in our marriage. 6 years, together 12 years, that she stopped feeling intimately connected to me. This was the result of me neglecting her for the previous 6 months. I did my chores and responsibilities as husband and father of our 5-year-old, but chose to spend my remaining time playing games all night, sleeping in her goose bedroom, picking my phone over quality family time, etc. I acknowledged this behavior and told her I would change. I always loved and still loved my wife deeply at this point. I felt a lot of different emotions, fear of losing my wife, fear of losing my child, everything we build, etc., anger at myself. I panicked and started to be overly present to the point my wife told me to stop because it was suffocating her. I was afraid she had already set her mind, that she was seeing someone else, but we had talks, and I decided to give her more space and focus on myself. I told her I was suffering greatly and felt that she wasn't interested in saving our relationship. She told me she was trying to save it but in her own way because she, in her words, changed in the last year after coming out of a depression. So now we pretty much live like two strangers in one house, who have to share the same bed and put on an act in front of our son. She communicates only when needed. Every other time it feels like she's forcing herself to talk to me. I often don't get any answers or single-word reactions when I ask her questions. She gets irritated very fast when I ask her anything regarding our situation or when I even try to suggest something. She doesn't appreciate me coming home early from work and saying hello to me when she returns from work looks like a chore for her to me. In the meantime, she keeps saying how she has changed, and how the new her is the person she always wanted to be, and that she needs that to deal with the situation in her own way. Therapy is out of the question. She said she doesn't want to keep talking about the same thing every night and that we should just live our lives like normal. I believe her when she says that she is trying to save our relationship, but I find myself also disconnecting from her. A few weeks ago I was sad when I thought of being without her. Now I don't even care anymore. Every hash word or unanswered question just pushes me more away at this point. I feel like I already lost my wife weeks ago. The person I am with right now is not her, and I don't feel any sadness when I think about a future with her. There is some love left, but it's fading away with each day we continue like this. Next week we are supposed to leave for a vacation near her parents, and a month later her best friend will visit us with her family for a few nights. So we will be required to do some more acting. I know she is looking forward to seeing her family again, but I am honestly not even interested in spending time with her anymore. I feel like I want to pull the plug and just let it all go away. I know we will plummet into problems with raising our child, housing and finance, but at this point I believe that will all work out fine. Update. Am I overreacting? Thanks to my ex, I am left with quite a mess to solve. In short, ex 39F told me 37M in March she didn't feel anything for me anymore. Tried to fix things like a chum, she kept pushing me away. In May I discover she was emotionally cheating on me with coworker. Forgave her but also said that we are done and going to divorce. She still lives in our house while we start up divorce procedure. We talk normally, have best interest for our child and agree that I will take the house. She can't afford it. I've been hitting the dating apps in between and had a nice date yesterday. No feelings towards that person as of just yet, but there are common interests, so I got hit with the reality hammer of my divorce quite hard. I had a talk with my ex about her date and she is sincerely happy for me. I told her that I wouldn't have any objections if she decided to move in with AP during my off days, so I can get used to being alone with our child. Cat came out of the bag. AP, 24am, is much younger than her and still living with parents, so that's a no-no. His income together with hers is half of my own, so she's on waiting lists for a social home. 6+ years or rent privately, 1,500+ euros. Buying isn't even an option and she is hesitant because she doesn't even know where this relationship is going. She has no family in the country because she came from another country. Mind you, we are not living in USA, so matters are not as simple as taking full custody and throwing her out. I work irregular and I need co-parenting to make it all work. So I am stuck with an ex in my house and bottlenecking me with moving on. Situation is just so ridiculous I literally can't do anything but laugh about it. Second story. Why am I still with this woman? We've been together for 8 months. So, we started as FWB and after 2 months we started to be in a relationship. It wasn't a perfect one. It's a LDR. But we saw each other every week or every other week. She would often say how she loves me. Then 7 months and I find out she has been having a parallel relationship with another man for 3 months. That was abusive to her and as she said even raped her. She kept talking to him and admitted she was kind in words with him because of her childhood traumas, and admitted she was also going for dinners with another man with which she had sex also. She went a couple of therapies after all this. She has a past of cheating on previous partner. Now the reason I decided to continue seeing her is because I also wasn't interested much in our relationship back then. I would come every 2 weeks sometimes. Didn't want to sleep over her place. A lot of times ignored her needs to be physically with her more. but was always for her there to talk with her on phone, to listen to her problems which she was always telling me about. Now I'm trying very hard to do the opposite. I'm trying to be as much as I can with her, because the thought of another man having her is hard. But the thought of what she done is still bothering me when I wake up in the morning. I don't understand how can I love her as much so that I'm willing to continue all this. She says she is still not sure about our future together, but that she likes being with me, and I also like being with her. Should I go against my will and break this up, even though it's hard? Third story. What reasons did your ex break up with you, and were they misunderstood or right? My ex of 5 years broke up with me about 9 months ago now. During the breakup, she had prepared a note to read off to me. She essentially said that we don't have the same lived values and that most of our interests don't align. That isn't necessarily true. We actually shared many similar values and interests. We had similar beliefs of the world, similar political viewpoints, had amazing physical sexual chemistry, etc. The truth is, we didn't spend enough quality time together, and she believes the lived values thing is behind that. I have severe ADHD and other mental health issues I wasn't really addressing. During the course of the relationship, I was horrible with time management, and consequently that caused me to miss a lot of us time. One of my biggest problems is that I tend to put off doing pretty much anything, even with things I enjoy doing or am interested in trying. This greatly strained our relationship over time, and eventually it led to the end of the relationship. These past 9 months I've done a tremendous amount of work to better myself, for her sake and eventually more for myself. I worked on everything I knew she had a problem with during our relationship and more. I have been turning into a better version of me and am still growing into that. Even she couldn't deny the many changes I went through, and for a time it seemed as though maybe things would work out again. We were spending much more time together, and we even were still having sex from time to time. Ultimately, she chose to not get back together with me despite these changes. Every time we had a good time together, there would be a major pushback from her to make sure she would stay single. In the end, I realized she just wanted a new relationship with a new person, and that the breakup was more about her issues and less about me. Anyways, sorry for the rambling. I'm interested in what everyone else has to say. Fourth story. Did she cheat? These things don't add up, but she swears up and down it didn't happen. So me and my GF been dating a while. I catch her in a whole bunch of pointless lies. I mean really dumb shit, but it got me thinking. So I ask her about this guy who I always see text her, and she says he's just a friend from work. Come to find out she had been sleeping with this guy when we first started talking, but says she cut it off when we got serious. So we go through her phone, and the month she says we got serious, she was over there 5 times. Not only that, the day she told me she loved me, she went to his house that night. She said all these trips were just hanging out as friends, but she either slept over or didn't leave till 3 or 4 in the morning. Then there one night she goes to a hotel room, doesn't leave till 3. She started a new job at a breakfast place, mind you, and they open at 5. She said she meet up with the trainers from corporate and people from work, and we're just chilling, drinking and smoking there. She told me that night she was in bed going to sleep, and then I found all this out, but she lied and said she was somewhere else till we went through her phone. Am I an idiot to believe her? Like, does any of this point to her not cheating?